Hi, Sagar. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sagar, I have one small question regarding the fail-safe.
Mm-hmm.
Can I start now? Otherwise, we
Yeah,
can start
yeah,
off.
you can ask.
Okay. Yeah. So, Sagar, so for example, yesterday you mentioned two things. One, retention period is one, and retention period is two, and fail-safe it is going to be decreasing, right?
Mm-hmm. No, 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 no.
So,
It
for
won't
example,
decrease. It won't decrease. Say your failsafe will be always 7, but the
yes.
number of days the particular data has spent in that failsafe will be only max up to 7.
Okay. So, for example, explained yesterday. Retention period is two. Then
Mm-hmm.
fail-safe period has been decreasing to. Fail-safe period is the data is available for 6 days, right?
Okay, let me share that screen. We'll get. So now here you went and changed the retention period.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now let me give a few more things. And 15.
Uh, so I can explain here only, Sagar.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you can.
January 14th.
Mm-hmm.
So retention days is 2 days. So
Mm-hmm.
13th and Jan 12 is the retention period. Then fail-safe period it is showing only 5 days. Sorry, 6 days. Is it right?
Yep.
So
So
my
this will
question
be.
here
Mm.
is,
Now
yeah, my
one,
question
two,
here,
three, 4, 5, 6. Right.
yes, yeah.
Now this will go to retention period. Okay. One, you see what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was going 8. So it will not come now.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, it will not come. It will go. But once you go to the next day, okay, you have
Okay.
this as here, and now this will go. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, until that particular number of days that is having 6, it will not come.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Once that particular, for example, let's take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again 8. But from 9, now you increased here, right? You
Yes.
have
Yes.
increased your retention period here.
Yes.
Now, if you come and see, this is time travel. And from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this is only 7.
Yes, sir.
From next day onwards, it will be 7.
Okay. Okay.
Now it will come like this. Now it will keep
Okay.
on increasing for 7. Got it?
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Let me. So, okay. We'll wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. Okay. Meanwhile, did you guys try that structural changes? Yes? No? Structural changes with respect to time travel. Did you guys try the assignment I'm asking?
At some point we tried it. So yeah, some things are pending. We will try.
Okay, sure. Take a few more days. No worries. Complete that assignment.
Sir, and also the UI will not change when we made that the particular setting is off also. Turn off.
Okay, just refresh your page. Once you refresh, you'll get that. Now, Snowflake is trying to push that, but we have to show some experience, right? Earlier, it was not there. Just 2 months before they have introduced that. So you need to have a hang of like how earlier things was to work also. So in future class, again, we'll come back and we'll see that new UI also. Okay,
Okay.
fine. Let me share my screen. So yesterday we saw how to do time travel, and we saw something called as failsafe. Now, based on these two conditions, one, time travel, and failsafe, we have three types of table inside our Snowflake. One is normal, standard table. So far, whatever we have seen, all the time travel, each and everything, what we implemented, it was on top of standard tables. For this, for enterprise edition, what's the maximum retention period we can have?
90 days.
90 days plus 7 days of failsafe. This is what we can have with respect to something called as a time travel. But imagine when I go and put my retention period on top of my table, let's consider I don't want time travel. So I'm putting 0 days. Okay, I can set 0 days time travel. But when you go and create any table, you just create a table and set a time travel is equal to 0 days. Then also Snowflake will go into add this 7 days of failsafe. Now, this is a problem, right? Because whenever you go and add anything with respect to data, a micro partitions are being created in the backend. These micro partitions are responsible for your time travel because these all micro partition, these are the block of storage that is there inside your S3 or whatever the storage system of your Snowflake that is keeping all the information. So storage cost will always going to increase when you go and create something called standard tables or anything with respect to standard. Now I want to ignore this. Why I simply need to go and add failsafe even though I can go and say 0 days of retention period also, I'm paying for additional 7 days. Now you might think like, okay, what happens when you additional 7 days, right? But if that particular data has TBs of record and you have huge amount of data, unnecessarily on the yearly basis, you are paying extra to Snowflake. Now for having these particular issues, they came up with something called a transient table. Now, what are these transient tables? Now they say, Snowflake says, okay, I will give you by default, max up to 1 day as a retention period whenever you want to create, plus 0 days of failsafe. That means whenever you go and create something as a transient table, I am not going and giving anything with respect to failsafe, but by default, it will be 1 day of retention period. Now, in this way, we have reduced our cost drastically from 7 days to 1 day. And if that particular table, which is not of a much business requirement, they don't have much importance and all, I can always go and create this particular transient tables. Fine, fine. Now I want to do some ad hoc analysis. I want to do some ad hoc analysis on top of my tables. I need to see some things, logic building. I need to see how it's working, how table is working and all. I have given you something called as a temporary table. I have a temporary table. For this temporary table, whenever there is something called a temporary, it will not go and store that data into your storage permanently. You have opened your worksheet. This is your worksheet. You're working on your worksheet. Now I need to go and do some ad hoc analysis on top of my table. So I need to go and add into my one of the table, and I need to use that for any joins, any Windows functions, or any other things on top of my requirement. I need to go and check that. I'll create as a temporary table. This temporary table will be active until unless you are active in this worksheet. or else you have something called as virtual warehouse that is there active. So for this, also they have given a retention period. By default is 0, but time travel you can do until unless this worksheet is there. So max up to 1 day you can go and use this particular temporary storage until unless you go and off your virtual machine or you permanently close your worksheet. These are the 3 types of tables they have given. And again, for temporary table, there is no failsafe. Are you clear with these points? Are we clear with these points?
Sagar, the temporary table is physical table?
Is that sorry?
Is it a physical table or a...
Yeah, for until you close this particular worksheet or virtual machine, it will be acting as a physical table and it will be stored in your database. But once you go and remove your worksheet, or only if you go out of this particular worksheet and try to access also, it will not take. Only for this particular worksheet, it is active.
session specific, right?
Yes, session specific.
Okay.
Okay, fine. We'll see this. We'll have that idea more once we go and see those how it's working. Let me relog. Hmm. Okay. Now let me create one small table. Have this particular table. I'm creating a table. Now while creating, I have, if I won't do this, it will be a standard table. And it will follow whatever your retention period, fail safe, whatever you defined on top of your database, it will always follow that. Now I've added something called as temporary here. Added one word temporary. Now, as soon as I go and add temporary, I have created this particular record. And let me refresh. And if you come and see under your MySchemodeba, under this, let me refresh. I should show. Okay. Let me recreate. Already exit is not enough. Create or replace. It should show, but it is not showing. Okay. Now we have created this particular table. Now I need to go and see particular tables. I'll say show tables. No. Are you seeing your table? Temp table? And it says kind is something called the temporary. Now if you come and see, retention period, they are given maximum 1 day. Yes. Okay. Now let me come and insert few data into my table. I've inserted my data into my table. And if I come and read my data, okay, I'm having my data, everything is there. But the same query, I'll copy this, I'll come in another working session or this particular session. Let me, what's happening? Why it got stuck? I'll come here and I'm coming and executing my piece of code here and I'm running this. Are you able to see? No. But if the same under this particular session, if I come and run again, I'll be able to see. Now this is happening because it's a particular session specific, and usually it will show, but this particular free version it is not showing. Here it will show for temporarily this particular table is created and will be having those information. Now I need to go and run anything with respect to time travel on top of my table. How to do? How to do?
Offset art.
Offset or that
Okay.
query we need to
Let's say at, I'll say offset
equal to
here
60 into
minus 60.
Into 3 or 4.
Let me give 3. I think I don't need to put in quotes.
Quotes are not required.
Yeah. Okay, table is not created. Let me put 2. I'm able to do time travel.
Yes.
yes.
Now, let me come and suspend. I think, okay. Still it is giving. Okay. Now let me close this. And let me create one more particular new session. Alright. Now why it gave is because you are particularly in cloud service layer, there is a cache. Now your virtual machine got closed, but your cloud service layer was still having that information in that particular cache. So from that cache, it was coming, and I will explain you how cache works in further classes. But if you log in and log out, for sure you'll not be able to see that, because once you log out of your Snowflake account, it will be completely removing cache from your cloud service layer also. At that time, you'll not be able to see that data. Now, if I come and say again, select star from my underscore sales, I will not be able to see that particular record because that is completely removed. Now again, let me come and create same table. We create same table. I'll add same data. I'm having this. Now, how to go and set retention period?
By alter
Alter table
Double level.
temp underscore sales.
set
Set.
retention set data retention timing days equal to
Retention
Days.
equal to, let me set it to 2. When I come and run this, what it says? Wait. I think I gave wrong spelling wrong. Let me see. Okay, spelling is correct. But when I come and try to alter the table, it says invalid this. Now, if I come and alter this, it is able to go and set successfully for 0. But if I come and say show tables, we have time sales. Let us set a retention input for 0. Now, beyond 0, if I come and set 10, it says invalid parameter 10, because for my retention period, I cannot go beyond 1 day. Max to max, I can come and put 1 day. Now we can always have that particular retention period until this particular session is there. You will be able to see that, and we can have between 0 to 1. Till now, are we good?
Yes.
yes sir.
Okay. Now, when I came and created these particular tables, it was only with respect to this working session, and I was not able to go and access. Now, what about drop table this. Now, do you think can I go and access back my temp save if I do undrop?
Yes.
I'll go and do undrop, and I'm able to go and see my data. Okay. Now using this particular temporary, whatever the things works fine, but only with respect to this particular session. Now I'll come and change this to transient. There's a word called transient. I do this and I'll say transient table. Just creating a transient table. I created a transient table. Now, once I create my transient table, if you come and see, should come now. Okay. I'm able to see my transient table. Now I'll come and add my data. And oh my bad, I need to add here. I'll come and add my data. I'm able to go and see my select star from table. Okay, I'm able to see the data. If the same query, if I come and add here, I'm able to see here also, because this particular table is permanent kind of a table, but your retention period for the table is max 1 day. Now, if I come and say set this particular things to 10, whatever you have transient table, I'm going and putting for 10, it will come and throw you error saying that invalid retention period. But I can go and put it to what 0 if I want. I'm able to set it to 0, and you'll be having, if you come and see show tables, it will show your particular transient table and your type is transient, and you can set your retention period to 0. Now in this way, I can come and work on top of my particular table.
Sagar,
Hmm.
only to avoid the cost, this transient table came into picture, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Okay, now where all things I can go and use this particular temporary table, transient table, and all is now you don't want to have what something on a fail safe. You need to reduce the cost. You need to risk. There is no risk of permanent data. Something whatever the data is there. If that particular data is gone, also you don't think much of the use case. By default, it is 1 day. If you want, you can go and keep to 0, but cannot go more than 0. And what happens is you are having something, usually we saw something called as a Mendelian architecture, where we are bringing from our all sources to first particular table, that is bronze layer, where we are just dumping our data as it is from our source to here. Here, it's kind of a staging kind of a data. I don't want to simply go and if there it is not finally used by your end user also, consumer also, from directly from this particular table, at this time, I can go and create something called a transient table when you're going and doing what ETL loads into your first layer, or where we don't do much of the transformations and all. That is not much of business critical. Then I'll go and create this particular transient table. But I have a table which is very important. The data retention should be there. I need to make sure that if anything is going against my particular table, I need to go and retrieve that back. And if I could not do, there should be something called a fail safe. So where I can go and make use of that particular fail safe features and all, I will go and create it as a permanent table. Have you got? Have you got any doubt between the tables?
Yeah, we are good. Sir.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. I'm getting one call. Just a minute. Okay. Now, I was expecting one question. Create or replace database, let's say DB2. If I come and put here temporary, what do you think?
It will not work, I think. Only
It
specific
says,
to table.
sorry, okay. Now I'll do what? Transient. What's the spelling of transient? I forgot. TRAN, transient. Oh, here it is. Now if I come and create, it is created. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's a show database. Now if you come and see, this is your DB2 that is there. And if you come and see, there is something called a transient and retention period is maximum 1 day. You cannot go and queue beyond 1 day for this particular transient table. Now on the same directly on database level also you can go and set, or else you can go and set based on your schema level also. I can go and set based on that whatever the schema and transient you have done, it will go and use that with respect to your timetable. Only with respect to transient you can do, whereas temporary you will not be able to give an option. It will be based on only tables because temporary tables are there. Are we good on this point? Yep. Is this point clear?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, what all constraints we have in OLTP?
Unique,
Hmm.
Not null, primary, unique.
primary key, foreign key.
Okay, primary key, foreign key,
Or
unique.
Check,
Then,
check.
okay, unique. Okay, check. Then that's it.
Yeah.
Oh. Now we have this particular all. Now we have one more thing called as a default also. Now we have all these particular constraints. Now, what about your Snowflake? Can I go and create these particular constraints and all? We'll just try to see that information. Okay, I'll take one particular table. Let me consider one particular table. Have this particular table now. I'll give the scripts, don't worry. We have what? Create or replace my customer. My table is what? Customer ID. What is primary key? What's the use case of primary key?
It stores the unique and not null values.
Okay.
And it cannot be null.
Okay. Fine. Primary key for your data integrity, it is maintained where no duplicates. You cannot have any duplicates here. No duplicates. No, null. No, null. Okay. Fine. What about unique? What about unique?
it allow one null.
But again, what? No duplicates, right?
Yes.
Okay. If I go and use something called as not null, it will not allow us to add not null values. And default is whatever the default value is there, that will be there. Now I have another table where I'm going and creating another table. One was customer, another was order. For this also we have primary key. We have something called as foreign key here. Now what does foreign key do?
It should the reference for that previous primary key of table.
Table. reference. Okay. Now use for mainly table reference or relationship integrity between the two main tables. Now I have a question for you. I don't have customer ID consider in main table as primary key. Can I use that in foreign key? For example, I'm using here 100. That 100 is not there in your primary key. Will it allow?
No.
Okay. Now, if your customer is only not present and if you're going and calling that in your foreign key, from where you are able to go and relink that particular information, it will not allow. And is nulls are allowed in foreign key? Is nulls are allowed? Yes or no?
Yes, it's allowed.
Can have nulls. Fine. What else not now currently? Okay. We have these many things. Now what I will do, I'll come and add my data into my customer info. I've added this data for my first table. I not run this. I've created two tables and I'm adding my data. We have our data. Everything is fine. Now what I will do is now tell me, can I go and insert again this data? If I come and insert this data, can I do that? Can
No,
I
it
do
won't.
that?
Yes.
No, I'm asking if I come and insert this data, will it allow?
Yes.
No, it won't allow
Okay, why?
because it's duplicate and primary key is there, right? So
Duplicates.
it will fail.
I'll come and run this. I'll come and run this. I'll come and run this. And if you come and see what you're seeing here, what you're seeing here.
Duplicate customer.
Now, your primary key and foreign key inside Snowflake is only for information purpose. It will be not enforced on top of your table. It will allow. If you want to go and maintain a relationship between the one table to another table, you can always go and use this particular primary key and foreign key, and it is not enforcing you to go and add duplicate. Just for your information, it is allowed. That's it. The same thing goes to your foreign key. Now, if I come and insert my data, I can go and insert my data here also now. I have that information. But if you come and see 1 and 2 is my particular primary key, I'm going and inserting my primary key has 10. That we don't have. And we have 20. That also we don't have. I'm coming and inserting that particular information. It will allow and it will not throw you any error because it is not enforced on top of your table. It is for your information purpose, or if you want to maintain a data integrity, always you can go and define, but it will not enforce those constraints on top of your table. Till now, are we clear with respect to foreign key and primary key?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you come and see the table, I gave my current order date current has something called the current date. I did not pass that into my insert into, and if you come and see that data, it has taken default value. That means default value is working absolutely fine. Now I gave something called as total order has not null. Now I'm coming. Where is order? Okay. Total order has not null. Now I'm coming and putting here null. and I'm executing this piece of code now. Now, as soon as I come and run this, what it says? What it says?
Non-nullable column. It's not nullable column.
So only two constraints that are enforced inside your Snowflake is not null and default. There is no check constraint inside your Snowflake. There's primary key, foreign key, and unique for information purpose. Are we clear? Yes. Okay. With that, we have completed our particular different three types of table. Now, still we have different more types of table based on your time travel and retention period. We have something called the permanent table, temporary table, and transient table, which is mainly with respect to time travel. Whereas there are different types of more tables. When I come and explain that particular whatever the concept we will be doing, based on that, we'll be touch basing on these particular tables. Now, can anyone quickly give a explanation between these three tables? What are these permanent table, temporary table, and transient tables?
For the permanent table, whatever the tables we are create that, so we can set the data redundancy for that up to that 90 days for the enterprise, and standard it will be the 1 day, but the data storage will be in the permanently, that is in the query layer, storage
Mhm.
layer. And for the temporary table, it will just create a table and we can do the time travel for only that particular session.
Mhm.
The data redundancy will be the 1 day. And for the transient table, it is the storage has been permanent, and then we can do the time travel for 1 day.
Mhm.
It should store the data into permanently.
Okay, what about fail safe?
For all the things, the for temporary table, we doesn't have any failsafe. For the transient tables, we had a failsafe up to 7 days, and permanent table we have a 7 days of failsafe.
For transient table, we have 7 days.
0 days.
For transient, we have a 7 days.
Only for your permanent table, you have a fail safe for 7 days. Apart from that, you don't have for temporary table and transient table. Then what's the use case of having a transient table if you give fail safe for 7 days? Right? Right? I
Okay,
could have
only for
done,
that. Mhm.
yeah. I could have already went and set for my permanent table as 1 day, right? Retention period.
Yes, we can set it. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Only for
Yes.
your permanent table, you'll be having something called as a fail safe. Fine. Now we'll be coming and seeing one of the most important concept for your. I'll come back to this when we come and see other tables. Primary key, foreign key. We completed this. Fine. One of the most important topic for your interview also, and also for your Snow Pro certification is virtual warehouse. Fine. Now, whenever you go and create anything with respect to virtual warehouse, it is created in the form of t-shirt size. Now, what are these particular different with virtual warehouse sizes? If you come and see here, there are different sizes with respect to your virtual warehouse. Now, based on this particular size, a particular credits have been consumed by your Snowflake. Now, when you come and use this particular Snowflake, if you have your Snowflake account here, now if you come and see, there is something called the credits used. Now, if you click on this particular information, go to cost management. You are able to see how much number of compute is being used, what all cloud service layer is been using. You can see specifically it is showing cloud service layer, how much compute has been used only for that specific time or anything with respect to your different virtual warehouse. It is showing for you, and it has been showing that you have used so far 4 credits, and here it might be showing only 1.4 credits, but on the every 24 hours it will keep on adding. Since we use something, few more credits has been used. Now you can come and see, particularly there is Snowflake cost. Now based on the platforms. Now what I'm saying, you are using what this particular credits, you are going and using this credits. Now you might be working where? You might be working in India, some might be working in Europe, some might be working in USA, and they are using this particular cloud services, and they are hosted their Snowflake account on top of AWS. Let us assume. But if you're working on India, you'll be working with respect to Indian data centers, then I need to go and charge you based on whatever the operation cost I need for Indian market. That's the reason I cannot directly go and give here something called as rupees, how much you are spending. Now I'll give you one particular universal rupee or whatever the things I need to go and charge you. For example, we have in US dollars. Dollars is considered as a universal across different countries, and based on the dollars, they will go and compare their currency. For Snowflake, currency is nothing but credits. They have assigned this particular credits. Now, based on whatever things you are going and using with respect to warehouse. If I use only extra small, for every 1 hour, if you go and use extra small virtual warehouse, continuously you're using, I will charge you 1 credit. If you use small, I will charge you 2 credits. If I use medium, I'll charge you 4 credits. Now, based on what the size of your virtual warehouse, I'm going and charging you credits. Now, why we required the increase in size of virtual warehouse is nothing but, for example, you are having only 1 GB of data. I don't need to go and give that superpower to go and consume. That can be done only with respect to extra small warehouse, where I'll be having only small one computer that will be working on top of your data. That will not take much time to process that data. But the same thing, if you have 10 TBs of data and I'm giving to work on top of the same laptop, it will always hang. For example, you have a particular mobile. Let's consider mobile. You have 8 GB of RAM and you have, let's say, 128 GB of hard disk inside your mobile. Now your mobile is completely occupied with, let's say, 125 GB of data, and even it has consumed all the RAM. And if you try to go and access anything, images or any application, it will keep on hanging. Yes.
Yes.
So that power is not there in that particular device, so it will keep on hanging. Same thing your particular virtual warehouse will do. I don't have power to process 10 TBs of data. I can process, but I will take what? 2 hours to go and process. It might be heavy on top of that virtual warehouse. Now on the go, for that particular moment, I need to go and process some data. On the go, I can go and increase to medium or large. I'm going and increasing my power of my virtual warehouse. At that time, I can go and process that particular data. This we can do very easily with respect to our Snowflake virtual warehouse. Now, based on whatever the credits you are going and using, I used something called as large kind of a warehouse where having more number of computers or virtual machines in the backend to work on top of my particular data. But I'm using for 1 hour. I'm going and you spending 1 hour of time. I'm going and charging you 8 credits. Now, as soon as you go and do monthly, they will go and check all the credits and they will come and see this. If you are hosted with respect to AWS platform and your particular region, when you went and created a Snowflake account, you are creating a region. Now, if your region is something US East, I'm going and charging for enterprise edition $3 per credit. You use 10 credits, I'm going to charge you 3 into 10, that is 30. Now, if you're using standard, because I'm giving you less number of feature, I'll go and charge you only 2 credits. If you're using business critical, then I'll go and charge you 4 credits because I'm giving you extra security and all. And virtual warehouse is where it depends on your requirement. You have to talk with your business based on the requirement, how much allocation they have done. And once you talk that, they will come up with a pricing, and obviously it will be more than $4 per crate. Now, if I come and go, and my particular thing is with respect to Mumbai or London. Let's consider my particular region where I created my Snowflake account is in London. According to my London, I need to go and charge my credits. So I'll say whatever the credits you use, that is fine. That remains same. But the amount I'm going and charging, it depends on what region your Snowflake account is hosted. Because when you go and use AWS with respect to London region, you have created your Snowflake account. Snowflake is going and making use of AWS services in the backend, and they need to go and pay AWS for whatever the services they are paying. So based on their particular commission and all, they are going to change the amount. Now, if I go and change to my Azure, they will go and change that particular amount based on whatever the Azure is there. They will go and charge, and whatever the amount is there, based on that, it will do. Now, this is only for your compute, but if you come and see down, there is something called as a optimized storage. Now, what they are saying? $25 per TB per month. Now, in the backend, whenever you are going and storing any data into your tables, those all things are considered as data, and it will be creating a micro partition. They will calculate on top of your account what number of something called a storage you have done. Based on that, if you are storing 1 TB of data, they're going to charge you $25. If you store all together, it will come to 10 TB, it will be 25 into 10 to $50. That's the reason we have to be very careful whenever we are going and creating any retention period on top of a table or anything unnecessarily. We should not go and keep 90 days because it will always keep on increasing your storage in the backend, and your Snowflake is going to charge one for how much compute you use plus additional number of storage what you are keeping in the backend. Based on this, they are going to charge. We'll discuss in detail how we can come up with all charges and all once we complete our virtual errors. But this is a high level way how your Snowflake is going and charging. For that, they are using something called the credits. Any doubts on this?
So, Sagar, there is a two costs. For that virtual warehouse, it is different, and then for storage, it is different.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, both are combined, and then they will generate a bill, something.
Yep.
We will use the credits.
Exactly. Have we got?
But in the first class, we discussed like everything should be taken care by the Snowflake, and then we need to pay only for the storage cost, right?
When did I say? Compute they need to use, right? Without compute, how can you go and run the all the queries?
Yes, yes. But yeah, but we thought that will be
No,
like
no, no.
in the
See, inside
AWS
your
or Azure,
architecture,
right? So maybe.
inside your architecture, what? One is cloud service layer, virtual machine
Yes.
layer, and storage. Storage is what
So
I said. How much data you store, they will go on to charge.
they won't charge. And for the compute as well, we need
Yeah.
to pay. Okay,
Your
okay.
cloud service layer also required compute. It also required power.
Yes, yes, yes.
So for that, they are going to charge. How will come to know? Based on, if you come and see, they are going and they will give all detailed information how your cloud service layer is used. Everything they can come and do, and your admin can come and do budgeting here, resource allocation, and he can go and check if any anomalies are coming, what's happening, why it is suddenly increasing. Those all things now Snowflake has given. Earlier, this was not there. We had to come and create all this using something called Streamlit application and all. But now Snowflake has given everything. Based on this, your admin will be going and monitoring all the things. Why it is sudden spike of data, how much data is coming, each and everything they can come and do. And they can, if any sudden spike of data is there also, you can create something called a notification. Everything you can go and use this particular using resource monitor or anything, you can go and create. Okay,
Okay, sir.
fine. Now, let me come back. Now, what is virtual warehouse? Virtual warehouse is nothing but it's a cluster of your compute that is used to process your any kind of data. You're loading data, for that you require power. You're querying some data, you require power. You're transforming some data, it required power. But what happens is here Snowflake is going to charge you only based on what time you're going and using your virtual warehouse. Now I said you guys that you have a virtual warehouse. Let's consider you are using something called a medium. For every medium, for 1 hour of time, they're going to charge you 4 hours. Now, if you use only half an hour and you off your particular virtual warehouse, they will not charge you 4 hours. They will charge you 4 divided by 2, that is 2 credits. Now, based on whatever you use, that number of time only your virtual warehouse is being used. And same, it is similarly to that of your whatever the laptop. It has CPU for your computation. It has memory for keeping the information and all to do in-memory processing. And it has temporary storage so that during your particular data loading or anything, if it is any taking long time, it can have that cache also inside that particular storage. It has 3 main parts. And if you come and see that particular how it looks like, this is how your particular virtual warehouse looks like. CPU is the main central processing unit, which is mainly responsible for having that particular power and all. That is done by your CPU. And if you come and see with respect to RAM, we have that particular RAM and we have storage. Now, based on your particular size of your particular whatever the things are there inside this particular CPU, we have something called as a threads. Now, what are these threads responsible for? Now, I'm going and using something called the extra small, and it will be having only one CPU like this. And inside this one CPU, we'll be having threads, 2 number of threads. Now, these threads are the one which are responsible for doing parallel execution. For example, 2 particular users are coming and executing a piece of code. Now, inside your extra small, it can go and parallelly process 2 requests, but another third or fourth request is coming. It will keep that in hold because until unless I go and process this particular request, I cannot go because I don't have that particular threads. Now, if you go with respect to small, again into 2, you increase, 4 number of threads will be there. Now, since this particular number of threads are increasing, and this number of threads are only the responsible for your parallel execution, so your power will increase based on this particular threads. Now, what will happen whenever particular user going and submitting any query, your particular virtual warehouse, whatever is made up of this particular CPUs, in that CPU will be having different cores, and each cores will be made up of threads. Now it is having RAM, it is having local disk. Now, what will happen based on whatever the data is there, it will go and communicate with respect to your remote. Once that particular whatever the data is there, it needs to process. Now, once that data comes back to your virtual warehouse and communicate, it sees the number of data, whatever the amount of data is there. Now, what power I have? Based on that power, it will go and use that on top of the storage. And once that particular data is, whatever the data is processed, it will go and keep those information in local disk until that particular virtual warehouse is active. And anything with respect to memory management I want, I'll make use of my RAM. Now, once you close this particular virtual warehouse completely, or once you suspend this virtual warehouse, now whatever the data that was stored locally for that point of time, it will be completely fleshed out and it will be freed from your warehouse. It will happen in like this. And once your warehouse goes in idle, this is how your virtual warehouse work. Now, you should be very careful. Unnecessarily, you should not go and increase your virtual warehouse to, let's say, I'm processing data. I'll go and keep my large data. It is taking time. No, you should never go and do that. And as a data engineer, will not never be given this access to go and change the virtual warehouse size or monitor virtual warehouse size. That particular access will not be given because this is a main admin kind of a work. They will now, if you are a data engineer, for data engineer, there is a specific virtual warehouse will be configured for you. This is what for dev environment, only this particular virtual warehouse need to be used for this dev role. They will come and give that. You'll be using only that virtual warehouse. You'll not be going and changing anything with respect to virtual warehouse. Are we clear on this point, how it's working? Any doubt here? Are we good? when do we require virtual warehouse and when we don't require virtual warehouse? We need to understand. First and foremost, when I went and created DML operation, did it use virtual warehouse?
For DML, it will use.
Okay. Now, not all operations inside your Snowflake is using this particular warehouse. Now, since we have what? Something called as a shared nothing architecture is also there. Shared disk architecture is also there. Your virtual warehouse will not coupled with your storage. Now it will not go and use for everything. Whenever you required, particularly for data loading, for select queries, for doing your any DML operations, which require something called the transformations on top of your data, then only your particular CPU, memory, RAM, these all things will come into the picture. But if you're going and doing something called a metadata management query, if you're using data from something called a cache, if you're doing DDL operation, where mainly your cloud service layer will come into the picture, at that time, your virtual warehouse will not come into the picture. This is a very, very important question for your SnowPro certification. They will ask, they will give a sentence and they'll ask, when do you use virtual warehouse or when that particular virtual warehouse is used? They'll give option DDL command metadata queries, select data from your cache or copy into activity. Now, whenever like this, you need to go and select. This will be very simple questions they'll be asking in SnowPro certifications. So you need to understand that only when there is something called the data manipulation is happening or data reading is happening from your storage, then only your virtual warehouse come into the picture. Are we clear? Yes?
Sagar, I have one doubt. I mean,
Yep.
when that DML operations happens,
Mm,
can you go back to that?
mm.
When the DML operation happens, it got activated, right? That virtual OS.
Yeah, it will get activated.
If I don't do any operations, then it will be in idle state.
That's what. If you are doing anything with respect to transformation, you're as soon as you go and involve your storage system, it need to pull that data, right?
Yes.
So for that, it required power. But you are only creating a metadata. You are creating a table structure. You are creating database. You are creating table where I am not going and adding any data into my table. At that time, it says, okay, don't worry. Your cloud service layer is only taking care. I'll not I will not increase my particular virtual warehouse for whatever the cloud service layer it is using. For example, your virtual warehouse, what it takes. Let's consider 1 hour. If I kept active, your virtual warehouse might be using 2 credits. Whereas your cloud service layer will use 0.2 credits because it don't require that much power as required of your virtual warehouse. So your whatever on the final bill, your credit consumption will be combination of your virtual warehouse plus this cloud service layer credits.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, fine,
Okay.
fine. Now, how does your virtual warehouse look like? We'll just have an understanding on this so that for your SnowPro certification and all, you'll have that idea. Now, instead of showing that, I'll come and first create one particular virtual warehouse, and then we'll come back to slide. Now, if you come and see, there is something called as monitoring, not monitoring. Wait a minute. Where is virtual warehouse? Down. Now, there is something called as a governance and security. Oh, where is? Sorry, my bad. There is something called a compute here. Now, if you come and see compute, now I have a virtual warehouse. The Snowflake is getting hanged. Fine. Now, if you come and see, it is showing in started. Yes. Now I'll come and add one virtual warehouse. I'll come and say Snowflake virtual warehouse. I'm giving this particular information. Now I can come and add data also. This is used for data transformations. Anything you come and do. Now, if you come and see earlier, we did not have this particular Gen 1, Gen 2 and all. It was only Gen 1, which was mainly used for your something called as Snowflake industry level and all. Now they have come up with something called as Gen 2 also. Now this is much more optimized when compared to your Gen 1, which works in very good way, and it is like it doesn't require much more power or performance to go and work because it's much more optimized, and the cost and all it remains same. In the back end, what it is doing, whatever the machine's power is there, that they're using. Now, if you come and see, there is something called a Snowpark Optimize. Now, what's the difference between this standard and Snowpark is, now your standard is very good. It can have that, it can go and work and all, it can do well with respect to your virtual warehouse. But if you go and work with something called the huge petabytes of data I'm having, I'm creating something called as a Gen AI models. I'm creating some data science models and all, which requires more what? GPU power, which requires more memory. So if you're using same extra small, if you're using same extra small, that is having one machine. When I come and use something called as Snowpark Optimize, the same thing will be more like 16x time more than power than of that extra small. So when you go and increase something called the extra small also, for that virtual warehouse, whatever this virtual warehouse you're using, the credits will also go and increase. For whatever the in pricing you are going and seeing, it is mainly for what standard edition. When you go and use something called the different edition or different types of virtual warehouse, based on that pricing will go and change. But we'll now go and concentrate on this particular standard warehouse. Now, if you come and see, I'm going and creating by default what you want. If you want medium, extra small, small, I can come and keep this particular small. Now, on the go, I can go and use this. Now, if you want to see more about pricing, you can click here also. It will come and take this particular page, or it will take all the documents, whatever the things is there, how much they are going to charge, each and everything information they have given based on region and all. Your admin will be going and seeing this, and they will come up with the best region for your and best virtual warehouse for you. Now I have this particular information. Now, as soon as I click on something called the advanced, now if you can see, there is something called auto resume. As I discussed in second or third class, automatically whenever your particular virtual warehouse in suspended state, if I come and run anything query that required power, it will only go and start that particular virtual warehouse. And if you come and see, there is something called auto suspended. For 5 minutes, your virtual warehouse is not using anything. For example, you're using 5 minutes and you're running particular code and all. Your data is cached in cloud service layer also. And in for that 5 minutes, you're going and consuming the data only, but it is data is coming from cache and your cloud service layer using for 5 minutes. Then also your virtual warehouse will go and suspend because your virtual warehouse is not using any power for 5 minutes. Automatically, it will go and you suspend by itself. Now we have something called a multi-cluster and we have something called a query acceleration. For now, I'll uncheck this. I'll explain you what are these things. Now I'm going and creating one virtual warehouse. Now, as soon as I go and create virtual warehouse, are you able to see here two virtual warehouse started mode?
Yes.
So in this way, I can go and create n number of virtual warehouse. Now, unnecessarily, if I go now, if I'm going and using 1 hour, okay, 1 hour I'm going and using, one is extra small, one is small. Now, how it will go and create is, since you're using two virtual warehouse, now you're using twice two number of for extra, for small 2 credits, for extra small 1 credit. If 1 hour both virtual warehouse in active state, they will go and consume 3 credits from your Snowflake account. Now you should be, whenever a particular, now these all things, it will be not in your hand as a data engineer, you don't need to worry. But any folks who are in something called having 10 plus years of experience and all, they might come and involve in this, how to come up with a best virtual warehouse, what's the best plan, because you need to always go and discuss with admin or architect, or if you want be work as an architect and all, you should have this particular knowledge because you will be asked suggestion to what to come with the best virtual warehouse. Now I'm going and using this particular warehouse and I'm having this. Now you can come and see always it's a suspended state. Now if I want to go and edit, I can always come and edit here. If I need to increase, I can come and increase whatever the things I can do. I can do here also. No, I don't want to do. I can come and do that particular with respect to my Snowflake here also. Now, whatever the virtual warehouse, I want to use this particular virtual warehouse, I'll come and use this. Now I want to edit, I can come and edit this also, and whatever the comments you are added, it will be here. Now you can use like this, and you are working all the things. But in real time, how this particular virtual warehouse is considered? They will not blindly will come and say, okay, you use extra small, my data is coming 20 TB, 30 TB, you go and use like large, you go and use extra large, two extra large. No, they will not be doing like this. What they will be doing, first, they will try to analyze all the things, how data is working, how you are going and how how much time it's taking. They'll be doing POCs based on the organization, based on the projects. First, they will do POC. They will come up with the best virtual warehouse, and then they will come and decide. You cannot directly come and say, okay, I have 10 TBs of data. I'll be using a higher number of configuration of virtual warehouse. It's not a good practice because you might be having 10 TBs of data, but while querying and all, whatever that you might be storing that in Snowflake. While querying and all, you are not using that much of perform data. You are not bringing from your storage. You are doing small transformations and all. I no need to go and unnecessarily give more power because this is since it is a decoupled architecture based on our requirement, whatever the things are there, I'll be going and using that. Have we got till now? Any doubts? Any doubts?
So how do we decide which type of virtual system we have to use for storage?
That I'll be explaining you tomorrow. We'll see a few more things. What is the vertical scaling, horizontal scaling, and all. We'll take one scenario and then we'll discuss. For example, we have different scenarios here. Don't worry. These are the scenarios we'll take and we'll discuss what's the best virtual warehouse we can come up. Okay, fine. That's it for today's class. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll get started with virtual warehouse because I don't want to confuse you because there is something called a multi-cluster and QAS I need to explain. In 5-10 minutes, I cannot explain. I need 15-20 minutes for that. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll see that.
Sagar, so are we going to go through that cloning concept?
Sorry, sir, what was that? I was not able to hear you.
Cloning in
Yeah. We have cloning. You're talking about zero copy cloning?
yeah.
Yeah. That's a part of syllabus. No? We'll see that.
Yeah, because the assignment which we have given that basically the data won't be visible without that cloning, right?
Where? Which?
No, yesterday you
And
gave
time
an
travel.
assignment, right? In time travel, you have given one assignment to do the DDL operation.
Wait. Which was that assignment? I downloaded it. Okay, let me open that. Did I add cloning in that? I don't
No,
think so.
no, we don't have cloning. What I'm saying is that this is all alter operations you have mentioned, right? So we won't be able to retrieve those data without the clone.
See, just right now, since we have not done any cloning, don't worry about that. Whatever the
Okay.
concepts we have done, based on that, I have given assignment. Try to execute and see how, when you go and change on the permanent table only, what's it's happening, you go and see.
Okay.
Okay, because cloning is some other concept we need to understand how micro-partition is working. Then only I can come with cloning. Without explaining you micro-partition, you'll not be able to understand what is cloning, how it's working in the back.
Okay.
Okay, fine. For those who are attending as a demo class, this is the last demo class. From tomorrow, it will be paid sessions. If you have any doubts regarding course and all, you can ask me. Anyone attending today as a first class? Okay, are you okay with my pace? Should I increase?
No, it's fine.
Okay. What about others?
It's fine.
Okay. Fine. We'll meet tomorrow, same 6:45 class. If you
Sagar, just one doubt I had. So you shown this pricing level, right? So in AWS also, whenever we storage, there is a pricing. So
see that
Snowflake include that pricing
AWS
also.
account is not whatever the AWS account you are seeing here, right? It is not managed by you. It is managed by Snowflake. You create your own AWS and you are
Yeah.
consuming from there. Then you have to pay for AWS also because you have created your own storage service.
Okay.
Okay.
So Snowflake is taking care of that pricing.
Yeah, for your
In the back
Snowflake
end.
account, it is taken care by itself. That's why they're charging you $25, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they will go and pay for AWS. Okay, any other doubts? Okay, sure. If If you guys have any doubts regarding course and all, you can always reach out to admin or Mahesh. He will always help you out. What's the price structure, how it goes and all, and we'll always help you out if anything is there. Okay, fine. That's it for today's class. We'll meet tomorrow and we'll continue our warehouse.